Welcome to the 6th episode. Oftentimes, what we read on the question paper is different from what we hear. There are a number of ways by which test developers can make it challenging for you guys. But today, we're going to learn how to deal with word order, word order, referencing, and ellipsis. In order to do so, I've decided to use Cambridge IELTS 6, 7, and 8. Now, let's get started with Cambridge IELTS 6. Questions 38, 39, and 40 are taken from Cambridge IELTS 6, Test 2, Section 4. I want you to listen carefully and try to find out what the answers are.
So now there was a real possibility of having films of more than 2 or 3 minutes. And this led to the making of the Great Train Robbery, the very first movie made. It only lasted 11 minutes, but was an absolute sensation. And there were cases of people watching the movie and actually fainting when the character fired a gun at the camera. Almost overnight, movies became a craze. And by 1905, people in America were lining up to see movies in store theaters, as they were called then. I guess the next big step in terms of development of technology was to have people actually talking on the film. And the first step towards this was in 1926, when sound effects were first used on a film. It wasn't until the following year, however, that the first talkie, as they were called then, was made. This film featured actors speaking only during parts of the film and was called The Jazz Singer. And it wasn't until 1928 that the first all-talking film was produced, and this was called The Lights of New York. Unfortunately, the sound on this early film was not very good, and I believe they put subtitles on the film. That is, they printed the dialogue along the bottom of the film to compensate for this poor sound quality. Now, with the addition of sound, moving pictures became far more difficult to make.
Okay, question number 38. We expect the answer to appear or to be heard after hearing the words the first motion picture or synonymous words for them. But in the recording, the title of the movie comes before the very first movie made. So the word order can sometimes make it complicated for us to answer the questions. Look at question 39. Some things, the gap, were used for the first time on film in 1926. But in the recording, in 1926 is mentioned before the answer to the question. It says, and the first step towards this was in 1926 when sound effects, the answer to the question, were first used on a film. Question number 40 is somehow interesting for me because it can teach us a very important lesson. As you can see, the gap is really close to the title of the movie, The Lights of New York. But in the recording, we should wait for a while for the answer to be heard. Read this part with me. The film featured actors speaking only during parts of the film and was called The Jazz Singer. And it wasn't until 1928 that the first all-talking film was produced, and this was called The Lights of New York, the title of the movie being mentioned for the first time. Unfortunately, the sound in this early film was not very good, and I believe they put subtitles on the film. Film, the word film, refers to The Lights of New York. This is referencing. That is, they printed the dialogue along the bottom of the film. Again, the film refers to the movie, The Lights of New York, to compensate for this poor sound quality, which is the answer to the question. So, the lesson is you should wait sometimes for a while to hear the answer. But on the question paper, the gap is really close to the keyword. Okay, now let's take a look at Cambridge IELTS 7. This question is taken from Cambridge IELTS 7, Test 1, Section 4. Read the question and listen carefully to find the answer.
And another mystery. Some of these unrealistic animals, that's in the engravings, seem to be half human. Some, for example, have got human faces. Many researchers now think that these were pictures the wise men engraved of themselves. They believed they could use magic to control the animals they had drawn. so the hunters could then catch them for food.
All right, here, the answer is magic. The word order is different, and also the pronoun reference they is used to refer back to the words wise men. So you've got to be careful with that. Next question taken from Cambridge IELTS 7 Test 1 Section 4 is question number 38. Read the question and listen carefully to find the answer.
And then some basic rules to guide you. We'll have our own camp near a village, but remember never to camp on a site if you go on your own. It may be disrespectful to the people of that culture, and certainly don't make fires, however romantic it may seem. It's really dangerous in dry areas, and you can easily burn priceless undiscovered material by doing so.
This question also is interesting because it teaches us how ellipses can sometimes make it difficult for us to answer questions in the listening part. The question reads, undiscovered material may be damaged by, so you're looking for something that can damage undiscovered material. But in the recording we hear, it may be disrespectful to the people of that culture and certainly don't make fires, however romantic it may seem. It's really dangerous in dry areas and you can easily burn priceless undiscovered material by doing so. But doing what? By making fire. So doing so is ellipsis, an example of ellipsis, and it refers back to making fires. Because we only need one word, fires is the answer to the question. Now let's move on to work on Cambridge IELTS 8. This question is taken from Cambridge IELTS 8 Test 3 Section 4. I want you to read question 35 and listen carefully to find the answer. We are looking for 2 mistakes that managers make.
Now, let's consider 2 types of mistake that can occur when a manager actually starts to set up a duplicate system to replicate a successful process. Firstly, perhaps he forgets that he was just trying to copy another process and starts trying to improve on it. Another mistake is trying to use the best parts of various different systems in the hope of creating the perfect combination.
The answer to the question number 35 is combination. As is obvious, the word combination is mentioned after the words several processes, actually the synonyms for those words in the recording, which are various different systems. These were some challenges you may face in the listening part. I think knowing these will help you perform better the next time. See you next week.